It is a few days after September 1st. I usually try to do a garden tour on the 1st of the next month, so this is going to be my August garden tour, but it is a few days later. I have been working a ton of hours. The garden's been kind of neglected. We haven't been weeding it so much, actually at all. We haven't been weeding it at all. We have been harvesting and canning, so the garden kind of gets neglected at this time of year. I go back to work and then we're just really busy. So I'm going to do just a quick video on this. It's probably not going to be very long. I only have one day off this week, and I was up really late last night canning till like 1 a.m. And then I have more that I'm going to can today. All of our beets are done and canned. I've been harvesting peas and shucking the peas and then like freezing them. Tomatoes are ready. The beans are ready. Green beans are ready. So many things are ready. We've canned a bunch of carrots. We still have some left in the bed that we're going to wait to do something else with. Let's see what else. We've been harvesting celery, kale. We've been harvesting potatoes like once a week and having them for dinner. We really need to harvest the rest of our potatoes. They've all died back. So the garden just looks really rough. I feel like fall is here really early this year. The trees are already turning. The goldenrod's like in full bloom. It just feels like fall and winter are going to be very early. So this is the front of our garden right now. It is really out of control. We have a bunch of grass clippings up here. We have that compost and manure right there with boxes on it. Over here is all of our bean plants. So we have pole beans and we have bush beans. They're really hard to see, but they do have lots of fruit on them. So we still have a bunch of green beans left from last year, and this year we planted a bunch to let them turn into actual beans, and we'll shell them and can the beans. We have been eating fresh green beans also. On this side, as you're walking in, we have our tomatoes. We have some Cherokee Purple, Ace 55, beefsteak. We still have a lot that need to turn red. Next to our bean row is our pepper row. The peppers are doing good. Poblanos, Anaheims, jalapenos, and habaneros in this row. This row is our cherry tomato row. We have all different sizes. We have big ones, small ones, and I believe there was some purple ones at the end of this row. A bunch of squash that we need to throw out to the chickens. This row was our summer squash and zucchini row. I think they are done producing. We let a lot of them go to seed. We didn't keep harvesting them, so they didn't keep growing more fruit. We've talked about just mowing this row down, picking everything, feeding it to the chickens. We'll see. We might just leave it. It's hard to see my basil plant in here. It's starting to go to flower. And then the okra really never did anything. It got big, but we haven't harvested anything off of there yet. This big plant here that we transplanted turned out to be a pumpkin plant. It's vining out everywhere. It has pumpkins on it. I have rosemary in here somewhere. And that's all summer squash and zucchini. This row we had our collard greens, our peas, some tomatoes, and some Swiss chard. Some of our peas have died back. And then we have some that are still flowering and making peas. Tomatoes. And our Swiss chard got huge. We mostly just throw this into the chickens. Sometimes we'll saute it. I think we're getting to the end of our green season. We've been eating a lot of it. And I think we're kind of just over it now. Over here is our corn. We have been getting corn off of this. Something has been eating the tops of it and kind of knocking it down. Here's one where they ate the tops. But we've had corn on the cob for dinner every night for like a week now. And then this was our carrot bed. So we harvested most of the carrots. There's still some down there. We have our dill and our Brussels sprouts. It has been super rainy here for the last month, or for a month, maybe not the whole last month, but a lot of stuff has rotted because of the rain. Here we planted more carrots. This did start out as beets, but it has carrots and some cilantro in there. And then we harvested the rest of the beets the other day. These are the Brussels sprouts I started from seed. They are starting to do something. So back here was our broccoli and our cabbage, our purple cabbage, and cauliflower. The cauliflower never really did anything. It just got big and then died. The broccoli, we got a lot of broccoli from it, and then we let it go to flower. And then our cabbages, a lot of them rotted. We did get maybe half of the cabbage we planted, maybe a little under, but most of them rotted. Here is our sweet pepper bed. We did have garlic in here earlier in the year. That's been harvested. But we have peppers in here. There are a lot of peppers. And then I need to come out and harvest all this carrot seed. And then this is a small patch of kale and rainbow chard. There is some sage in here also that perennialized. And then some comfrey. So here's where our 2 potato rows are. Like I said, they have died back, and it is time that we harvest these. I think we're going to start tonight or tomorrow digging these up. In this row, we had our green onions, our leeks, onions, and cabbage. We have harvested most of our onions from this row, and we only have like 2 or 3 heads of cabbage left back there. Oh yeah, and the onions had the cayenne peppers in this row too. Here is the cabbage we have left. It has started to rot. We're probably going to pick that one and throw it into the chickens. And this one's really big. It's huge. We need to pick that and get that one in. Here is our celery. Like I said, we've been harvesting it. We've harvested all of that side. We've been dehydrating the leaves and then just cutting up the celery and putting it in the freezer. After the celery, we had our green leaf kale. That's still doing really good, still producing a lot. It does have some rot on it too. Here we had beets. We have harvested all of our beets, and then we have more onions back there. These onions were planted later than the ones in the previous row, so they're not ready to come up yet. The cucumber back there on the trellis has died. We got lots of cucumbers, lots of big cucumbers off of it. In this row, we have our San Marzano tomatoes. They have flowers on them. They haven't set fruit yet. They are huge and green and bushy. But I'm not sure if we're going to get any tomatoes off of them. Back here is the old goat pen, and it has been overrun by pumpkins and squash that have been reseeded from us feeding the goats all of our pumpkins and squash. There's also sunflower plants. We did not plant any of this. Look at, there's pumpkin vine going up over the fence. It is just taking the whole space over. And there's the cucumber trellis with the dead cucumbers on it. So we have some really overripe squash, lots of pumpkins. There's stuff all over in here. Over here we have some delicata squash. Over here we have some of my favorite pumpkins. These are the Dark Night pumpkins, and they stay really dark green to almost black. So down here is our pumpkin patch. It's doing all right. Definitely could have been better if I would have taken care of it better, but this is what we have this year. There's a pumpkin. There's a pumpkin. I still have some melon plants with some flowers on them. They're not really doing anything though. More pumpkins. Pumpkins. I grow a lot of pumpkins. Pumpkins are one of my favorite things to grow. I like to grow lots of different kinds. That's going to be a weird looking pumpkin. I have lots of sunflowers up here that didn't do that great. They're pretty. I didn't get big.